the Landis Big Show Studios. Landis is doing patronage differently with $330 million of investment in infrastructure and $1.5 million of investment in local communities. Join Landis in building a stronger future together.
Being brought to you also by the Iowa Ag Water Alliance. Clean water in Iowa starts here. You bet it does. No matter where you're at, clean water in Iowa starts with you. We celebrate clean water here on the Big Show quite a lot. Bob Quinn of the Big Show today. I'm at the Iowa Farm Bureau's annual meeting. Dwayne is out in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he's going to be talking implement show going on there coming up. Jason Henderson, Vice President, Iowa State University Extension and Outreach with me right now. Jason, you're talking the economics of agriculture here at the Farm Bureau meeting. Give me about 30 seconds on your message.
So we're going through a downturn in agriculture with low commodity prices, and profits are expected have fallen. So agriculture is hunkering down. Right now, what we've learned throughout history is we got to look at where's the debt, and look at those enterprises that have high levels of debt, because they're going to need some help getting through the downturn.
Generally speaking, when we talk about downturns like this, you can almost look at it demographically, and it seems like the downturn impacts the younger generations much more than it does, how can we say, the seasoned folks in agriculture. Same thing here?
Same thing here. Very similar to past downturns. You have those that are most at risk are young and beginning farmers that have been in the business. They had the good times, and so they've expanded. And in agriculture, we use debt to expand. So now we're in a period of a financial downturn and higher interest rates. So they're looking at higher levels of debt service, and at the same point in time, they don't have as much equity in their operations as other producers. So we got to look about those young and beginning farmers.
Well, you guys compare things like say, okay, this is the same as a downturn in whatever decade it was. Compare it.
So right now, our downturn is different this time because we're at a higher plateau in agriculture. When I was growing up in the 1970s, corn was $2 plus or minus a dime. Today, corn is $4 plus or minus a quarter. And so our levels of income are higher, but so are our levels of input costs. And so we're having the same type of downturn, and the tight margin squeeze is just going to be at higher levels of revenue and higher levels of cost.
So look into the future. When are we going to see things turn back?
So you're looking at some of the recent forecasts that I've seen in various different ways is that 2025 is going to be potentially another tough year as we look off, because we have some big supplies that we have to work off. It's all about demand, and how do we work off our big supplies? And so demand over 2025, and if we have some stronger demand that allows us to work off those supplies, you could look at 26 and 27 as a time where we're starting to put some stabilization and a rebound. But it's all about demand, whether it's international demand for exports, and whether it's domestic demand for food or other types of products like biofuels or even bioplastics.
One of the problems that I see, Jason, talking with Jason Henderson at Iowa State University, when you talk about demand as being a driver, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But our ability to produce more supply seems to be growing all the time, and it seems like we're always ahead of demand. Mm-hmm. So what's going to have to happen here?
Yeah, I think one of those things is we have to have a better estimate of what demand is going to be, and that's one of the hardest things to do. One of the perpetual challenges is farmers are more than willing to produce themselves out of prosperity. So whenever there's an extra dollar, they're going to increase those supplies. And so I think of what we're going forward is we have to have a better balance, and that means farmers thinking about going forward of locking in demand first, and then thinking about how do they produce it instead of just producing what they can. And it's going to be more of I'll say a value-added market mentality than a commodity market mentality of where you produce as much as you can because you cannot control price.
Jason Henderson, Iowa State University with us. Hey, thanks for stopping by and talking to us a little bit here on the Big Show. We're going to talk economics ahead as well. In fact, right now, Brian Hoop's with us, Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, fly at 50,000 feet and give us an update on what's going on corn and soybeans today.
Well, Bob, we had the big supply and demand report for the month of December out just a few minutes ago. And, usually this is not much of a market-moving report because the USDA does not update U.S. production in this report. This is one of the few during the fall, winter months that they don't. They change demand equation numbers only. And there was some surprises this morning, but we haven't had much of a reaction to that. The big change, I thought, was corn stocks. They came in at a fairly friendly number, 1.738 billion. That's down 200 million from last month. way below the trade guess, but yet we're only up about 4 cents on the futures. So kind of a disappointment as far as the reaction to it. USDA increased ethanol usage by 50 million, and they did not increase exports last month, but they made up for it this month by increasing exports 150 million. So that results in that 200 million bushel reduction in ending stocks. No changes to the soybean balance sheets. Wheat exports were increased by 25 million, so we did have soybean stocks unchanged from last month. Wheat stocks at 795. That's down about 20 from last month, but that's still 100 million more than a year ago. Soybean stocks were 130 or so million more than a year ago, and it's going to keep rallies on soybeans and the wheat market pretty much in check. The corn one is the one that really stood out, but again, not much reaction. And just one other final thought, soybean oil exports have been outstanding this year, and they were almost doubled in this report alone. They went from 600 million pounds to 1.1 million pounds. That's a big jump in just one small report.
Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions, with us. Hey, Brian, how can folks get a hold of you guys that want to talk markets?
Yeah, there's a lot of things to talk about here in these markets. So my number directly is 417-501-5132. You can also go online to MidwestMarketSolutions.com. Follow us on Twitter and get a list of all of our offices and their phone numbers as well.